Mythical West Africa. We black out to realize dreams.
For the third time in barely a week, the blur faded from Dami's eyes. He widened his eyes as his vision became clear, yanking himself up, but only midway. The pain in his abdomen kicked in. He rested his palm on his belly and squeezed his face as if he was trying to squash the sharp headache he was feeling. It would be wise if you lie there for a while, Ifaseyi said while seated on a tall wooden chair, clothed with lion skin. He sat cozily in front of a fireplace. Dami looked around while laying on the cozy bench. It looked like he was inside a large magical hut. Its wall partitions were sophisticated. It had 3 floors with open ceilings and wooden pathways and stairs stuck around the hut walls. There were many scrolls on shelves stuck on the wall around the 2nd floor, and the ceiling on the 3rd floor looked dark with stars and shiny dust embedded all over. He looked through the glass window on the far corner, and it was pitch black. The hut was lit by fancy torches erected all over the walls. "Where are we?" he asked Ifayemi in awe. "The same place you brought yourself, only you are in my home now," Ifaseyi said. "How can all this be in the dark forest? How can you survive in this place?" Dami asked curiously. "Nothing is impossible under the watchful eyes of Olodumare," Ifaseyi said calmly. He had the look of a troubled man as he stared into the fire. After a short silence, he said, "I abandoned my duty as a divine messenger of Olodumare because I wanted to," Ifaseyi said in a soft tone, with the death of Orunmila weighing heavily on his heart. "I watched my son die before my eyes during the dark war that ensued in the Inri kingdom. One thing that weakened the heart of strong men in these lands and turned them towards darkness is grief of your most loved one. Okunkun feasts on it and turns your soul to the other side. It has happened countless times. I believe you heard the story of Akogun, who almost destroyed our lands due to grief. My heart was lost, and I could not bear the possibility of turning against the will of Olodumare. I did not run from the world for my sake, but for the sake of the world," Ifaseyi explained. "I know a bit of your story. I was wrong to judge you in that manner. My grief got the better of me," Dami said. "Grief, you say? You do not know the half of it," Ifaseyi said with a sad smile, his eyes fixed on the fire. "What kind of strength do you seek from such a dark place?" Ifaseyi asked, turning his head to look at Dami in his eyes. "I want to better myself in the best way I know how, through fighting the best of the best. There is no one better than me with a blade. I want to face the best version of me, day in, day out, so that I can become him quicker. I need you to perform AD Apanilara on me," Dami said. Ifaseyi laughed out loud. "Why go through such a reckless route for a pinch of strength when you have great potential with the atmosphere?" Ifaseyi asked curiously. "I have tried that path. I was once an Awu, but I was nothing but a failure," Dami responded. "The difference between success and failure at times is proper guidance," Ifaseyi said. "There is nothing for me down that path. I will find strength in the way I know best," Dami insisted. Ifaseyi sighed before pausing the conversation for a minute. AD Apanilara was once a weapon of death used by dark Ifa priests to kill their enemies. The shadow awakes at night and strangles the cursed victim. Over time, powerful Ifa priests modified it so one can face oneself in the form of his own shadow. "But do you know why Orunmila banned such a practice?" Ifaseyi asked. "Because it entailed tapping into darkness with Ashe," Dami answered. "That, and it required the blood of the caster. It drained their lives to keep the curse active. It wasn't meant to be used for practice, but a swift killing tool," Ifaseyi explained. Dami looked disappointed. Ifaseyi looked at him nonchalantly, bending his neck towards him. "But I'm not your usual babalawo," he said to Dami, adding a slight smile. "Then it is possible," Dami said enthusiastically. "Like I said, anything is possible under the watchful eyes of Olodumare," he responded. Ifaseyi had taken a liking to him. Bending the darkness a bit without causing harm to himself was child's play. It wasn't his most preferred way of gaining strength, and he doubted if it would improve his strength significantly, but he had a way of making it work depending on Dami's will. "Let's do it now then," Dami said, brimming with energy. He tried to lift himself from the lift-pushing bench, but he felt pain in his ribs. "Do not be hasty. One fails to see the obstacle in front of him when he is in haste," Ifaseyi said wisely. "I will help you gain strength. That is my contribution to the generation to come, and you will help the Orishas progress a new age of prosperity in the absence of Orunmila," Ifaseyi said in an epic tone. We shall begin when you are well rested, he said. Dami's eyes were lit with the fire of determination. Fire engulfed a mist farm with shadows standing in the midst of the flames. Children were at the center of the farm, surrounded by fire and wailing shadows. Help us, they yelled. Dami watched the flame and smoke from a few yards outside the engulfed farm. He heard screams and calls for help, but he couldn't do anything. His shadow was wrapped around him, preventing him from moving. You are weak, powerless, his shadow said to him. No, get off me, Dami yelled. Get off me, he yelled a second time. His shadow drove its sword into his head from behind. No, he yelled. His upper body sprang up from the cozy bench where he laid. His face was dripping with sweat and marked with horror. I see your rest was not very relaxing, Ifaseyi said, on his comfy chair close to the fireplace. He was sitting a few meters from Dami. I had a dream that felt too real. Kola's farm is in danger, and my shadow, Dami said and paused. It killed me, he finished. Well, it could be a dream or a premonition. Who knows? Ifaseyi said casually. My decision has been made. I will overcome all obstacles in my way. I am ready, he said to Ifaseyi. Follow me, Ifaseyi said to him, while gently lifting himself from the chair he sat on. Ifaseyi walked around his massive house filled with mythical furniture, artifacts, and statues. It was also designed most unusually, Dami thought. Ifaseyi walked through a wall of white clothes. Dami stopped right in front of the wall, hesitating to go further. Come on, you are the one in a hurry, remember? Ifaseyi said from the other side. Dami walked through the white clothes and found himself in another unusual room with a circular shape. Its walls were lit by a weird number of candles. He could not see the ceiling, and the candles were stuck up and around the wall till candle lights faded into the infinite ceiling. At the center of the room was a large bearskin rug and a fire that rested on top of the rug without burning it. Ifaseyi sat on one side of the fire, waving his hand for Dami to sit on the other side of it. They both sat in a lotus position and calmed themselves. Let's begin, Ifaseyi said. To be continued.